Texas. Mr. Hensarling, why was the vote postponed?
Well, we're going to have the vote later tonight, according to our leader, and when we get to the floor, we expect to pass it. I mean, House Republicans, this will be the second time we've passed a bill to raise the debt ceiling. The president has still yet to put forward a plan. The Senate hasn't put forward a plan. We're on the verge of passing our second plan. Stay tuned. We'll get it passed later tonight.
Mr. Van Hollen, do you agree that the vote will pass, and will there be any Democrats voting for it?
Well, Larry, I don't know. Obviously, they're twisting a lot of arms behind closed doors right now. This is a bad bill. It would put our economy in the same jeopardy, in fact, worse jeopardy 5 months from now as it is today, unnecessarily. We don't need that kind of instability. I don't think any Democrats are going to support it because it's a bad bill. Senator Reid has put on the table a proposal that would get more guaranteed deficit reduction when it's voted for, but would not have this feature where we're playing Russian roulette with the economy just 5 months down the road again. And that would manufacture unnecessarily instability in the economy. Why would we want to do that?
Yes,
Larry, if I could, number one, we've been waiting over 800 days for the United States Senate to produce a budget. They haven't. They've yet to put any plan on the floor to vote on it. We put the House Democrat plan on the floor. Only half the Democrats voted for it, and Chris Van Hollen himself didn't vote for it. And that was the naked increase in the debt ceiling. So we're still waiting for the House Democratic plan. Only one body has moved responsibly. That's House Republicans. We put forward a plan that would actually solve the problem: cut, cap, and balance. And tonight we have an opportunity not to completely solve our debt crisis, but to take a huge step forward and to do something that would really change the game, and that is pass a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution so we don't have to impose this upon our children and grandchildren. That would give confidence to our markets and help create jobs.
I want to ask you about Chris Van Hollen's criticism. I hear this on Wall Street. I hear this from financial investment gurus. I've also heard it from S&P. Nobody up here is very happy with a two-phase debt ceiling increase. Most people, and they may be wrong, Mr. Hensarling, you can tell us why they're wrong, but most people believe another round of debt ceiling increase debate later this year, early next year, would cause national angst and would put everybody on hold for the next 6 months with very bad economic repercussions, very bad stock market repercussions, and so forth and so on. Mr. Hensarling, it all includes the possibility of an S&P downgrade because of the uncertainty. Can you address those worries?
Well, we know what the president's chief goal is, and that is to make sure that he doesn't have to deal with this again before the election. We know that this is, for him, is about the next election, not about the next generation. Larry, the problem is not the debt ceiling. The problem is the debt, and it's a spending-driven debt. And after the president and Chris's party brought us a failed $1 trillion stimulus plan and the health care plan.
Chris Van Hollen, I don't want to take sides here. I'm interested in this key point. Chris Van Hollen, I do think, Mr. Hensarling is correct. The debt in the long run, that's what everybody's trying to fight. That's true. But in the short run, isn't it the debt ceiling that's the issue? And to get half a loaf on the debt ceiling, maybe no loaf at all. That's what worries me, Mr. Van Hollen.
Larry, we're the only people who passed a plan. House Republicans are the only one who's passed a plan.
I know, but why don't you get rid of the debt ceiling issue? Run it right through next year.
Why we use the debt ceiling to try to ensure that we can save the nation from national bankruptcy. That's why you have a debt ceiling. Why don't we just get rid of it? Why don't we just get rid of it, Larry, then? The purpose of the debt ceiling is to put a speed bump on the road to national bankruptcy. And listen, I'll give the president credit. He didn't necessarily put us on this road, but he is certainly pressing on the accelerator and showing no signs of turning back. That's why you have a debt ceiling vote.
Let me hear from Chris Van Hollen on this.
Well, two things, Larry. I understand why Jeb doesn't want to answer the question. It's because it answers itself. By putting the economy and jobs in the same position 5 months from now, obviously that creates instability. What we should all care about is jobs in the economy. Why would we do anything to jeopardize that? And that's exactly what their bill does. Now, of course, we need to reduce the deficit. There's no argument there. This has been an argument about how you do it. and our Republican colleagues time again have walked away from the table when it comes to a balanced approach. The president has said he's willing to do $3 in spending cuts for every dollar in revenue generated from closing corporate tax loopholes and also asking the folks at the very top.
Oh, that's interesting, but right now you know very well, because of Senator Harry Reid and because of Jeb Hensarling and the others, tax hikes are off the table. The economy's bad enough. We're going to get a terrible GDP report tomorrow. You don't want to be raising taxes. That at least is off the table.
Larry, 2 points. Number one, the president's proposal doesn't talk about any immediate tax hikes. We're talking about after 2013, and in fact, he has proposed a payroll tax holiday to make sure we generate more consumer demand given the low demand. But Harry Reid has put on the table a proposal that if we pass it, will cut more in the deficit immediately than the Boehner proposal.
Well, actually, I have a chart that shows that's not true. Let's put this chart up.
Larry, it is true.
This is from the Congressional Budget Office. Yeah. This is the spending caps on domestic discretionary programs.
Yeah.
You are about virtually tied. Senator Reid, $751 billion, and Speaker Boehner, $756 billion. Virtually identical. I've taken out the gimmickry on the Afghan and Iraq war baseline.
Well, Larry,
I've also taken out the
if I could respond to that.
On a program cut basis, you're virtually identical at $750 billion. There's no.
Well, Larry, it's actually worse than that, because these are not even real cuts enforceable on the Senate side. They're enforceable on the House side. And I would also say to Chris, if he feels so strongly about the threat of this short-term problem, why did he vote against the Democrat plan for the naked increase in the debt ceiling? And if Senator Reid feels so strongly about his plan, why haven't we seen the bill? I mean, this is sound bites. This is bumper stickers. It's not a real plan being voted on.
Come on.
It's not serious.
Two things, Larry.
Yes,
First of all, for the first time ever, when the Republicans brought their clean debt ceiling bill to the floor of the House, they inserted totally false and inaccurate language. It was a political stunt. Here's what they said. They said we have to. They said that was not, Jeb. You put in the bill that we are having to raise the debt ceiling because of President Obama's policy. Straightly untrue. And you know that we're having to lift the debt ceiling because of lots of past decisions made by most of which you voted for, and that is what's driving the cost. So when you guys put in that little political ploy, this is all because of President Obama's budget, that was wrong, and that was politics.
I'm not the one who voted for the $1 trillion stimulus plan. I'm not the one who voted for the $1.4 trillion takeover of our health care. I'm not the one presiding over the 9.2% unemployment in our economy.
Jeb, come on. Why don't you read CBO? You're quoting them, nonpartisan entity. The major policy drivers right now, decisions that are driving the need to raise the debt ceiling, the wars in Iraq, the decisions to have tax cuts in 2001, 2003 that disproportionately benefited the folks at the top, and the prescription drug bill that was put on the credit card.
I've read the CBO report. It's about spending. It's about spending.
Jeb,
they cite less than a third of the debt being responsible for the tax relief, and you happen to know that has to do with static scoring.
Here's what you're hearing. These guys won't use one penny from closing tax loopholes to reduce the deficit. Not one. That's their stated position.
We're the ones who put it in our budget.
We are reaching this evening.
Larry, just one thing on your chart. You did not take into account Harry Reid's proposal on the mandatory spending cuts. If you add that to the discretionary, his is higher.
CBO didn't score him as enough.
That's not true.
Show up in the out years, but so far. Listen, I pulled that
in the 10-year period.
I stayed up late last night and read both those CBO reports, and that's what I come up with, and I'm sticking to it. But I want to ask Jeb Hensarling what
You got to read it again, Larry.
All right,
I just read it.
Maybe it wouldn't be the first time I've missed it. But Jeb Hensarling, what time you reckon the vote is going to be this evening?
Well, I'm not the Republican whip, but I would imagine sometimes within the next couple of hours. Stay tuned.
I appreciate it very much. Look, you guys are great, and I appreciate the disagreements. House members Chris Van Hollen on the Democratic side and Jeb Hensarling on the Republican side, two great friends of the show. Up next on Kudlow, listen to this. CEOs warn of grave